Hi there. Oh, I'm sorry. There's all these messages coming up because I haven't done this in so long that things have changed on YouTube since I last did a video about a week and a half ago. And now it's like, oh, you can do this and you can do that. And it's like, I just want to do a video. So hi there. Um, I wanted to check in because it has been so long. And I have to tell you, it's tough, I find, when I don't have privacy. What do you do? How do you manage your time with God when you don't have privacy? And that's something I need to learn. I need to know how to manage my relationship with God, or to have private time with Him when there is no privacy. And I know there's countries in the world where it's very common for people to not have privacy. So how do we have quiet time with the Lord? And that's something I need to learn. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that. How do you find time with the Lord when everything around you is busy? You don't have quiet time. And I say this because of just coming off of a week and a half of, no, it's more than a week and a half. It's 2.5 weeks. Just coming off of 2.5 weeks of more intense time. Like, we were together with our family, so there was 11 of us, and kids and busyness and all that stuff. And then my mother came home with us for a week, and now we're back at her house, and we'll be here for 2 more days, and then we're back to home, and then hopefully life is kind of back to normal. Vacations are wonderful, but that also feels good to get back to your normal routine. And I've struggled. I've struggled having my quiet time with the Lord because of all the distractions and feeling like I need my own space. So I'm curious, how do you do that? I don't have any advice right at the moment because I need to know. So I mean, I'm curious, how do you manage when life is busy, uh, and you're just distracted? It's hard to even think of the Lord. Now, I did make a point the majority of the days of praying with Psalm 91 in the morning and entering into God's protection, His presence that way. Um, the first line of Psalm 91 is, He's our refuge and our fortress. Oh, somebody's there. Hi. Hi, somebody. I just don't see who it is. And, I prayed that, and we were able to avoid, I believe, a bad traffic accident through the Lord's faithfulness and protection. There was two semi trucks ahead of us, and we did a lot of expressway driving over these last 2.5 weeks. We've just been, oh, JD says hi, hi, JD. And two big semis are in front of us, and the second one, so there's one in front of us and then one in front of him. That one in front of him, we heard a loud bang, and we even saw it happen, lost a tire on the expressway, and it blew up like an explosion, and there's this loud bang, and there's rubber flying everywhere. And the truck behind him was going back and forth and back and forth. I don't know. Chris thought he was trying to avoid the rubber of the tire. I don't know what he was doing. He was just going back and forth. So you have the one truck who's blown a tire in front of us, and the other one who's weaving back and forth. And we managed to not hit any rubber. We managed to not hit any truck. We managed to not go off the road. So I accept God's protection in that case. And like I said, I've been praying Psalm 91 regularly every day to put ourselves beneath His wings for His protection. It's Psalm 91 is a promise, but we have a part to that promise. We have to make that step to lean in underneath Him. Oh, here's somebody, John, who says, I follow you for some time now, and I do have a question. What is your view on abusive relationships? Do we tolerate and carry the cross, or we leave once we realize that we deal with an abusive husband towards me and children? That is, I don't, personally, I don't know if I can back this up with scripture. However, we're also, like people say, well, you're not supposed to get divorced, you're going to leave or whatever. However, we're also not to lead others into temptation. which means we're not to lead others into a place of sin. And if they're being abusive, they're sinning. And I would, for the sake of your children, it's important that we protect our children. I believe it's important to protect ourselves. And I don't think it's right to stay in an abusive relationship and to afford them the opportunity to sin. That's just I'm sure there's scriptures that say you stay in there no matter what, but I think it's important to protect children and to also provide them with what looks like a healthy relationship. If they grow up seeing abusive parents in a bad situation, they grow up thinking that's normal, even though at the time they know it's not, but becomes a part of their thought pattern and they don't realize that it becomes normalized. I've seen this happen in families where they have one child that's really off the wall, crazy trouble, and the whole family does everything to accommodate that one person, and the kids grow up thinking, gee, the only way I get attention is to be bad, like this person, like this sibling. And then they end up thinking that's normal as well. And I don't think that's healthy either. Um, a lot of things are sinful. We need to use, I would go with the less egregious than that. You don't want your children to grow up with that. I think it's important. And then as well as for yourself to protect yourself. Um, you know, like I said, you can find scriptures both way. But when my kids were little, I tried to give them an example. If we went to the store, my kids they were 6 years old, 7 years old, and they had a little wallet, and they wanted to put their wallet in the car locked, but they put it right up in view of the window. Like in the back seat, they'd put it right up there in the window. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, we're gonna just lock our wallets in the car. I said, no. But the car's locked. I said, that doesn't matter. You're putting it in plain view for people to see, and you're going to tempt them to want to break into our car because they see the wallets. I said, you do not want to lead others into temptation. Either take the wallets with you or hide them and put them out of sight so that someone's not tempted to break in. I would put that situation into the same. If by your very presence it's going to cause this other person to be abusive, it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. This is the excuse an abusive person makes. It says, well, you made me hit you. That's not true. They are responsible for their choices. And that's not true. So I would not agree with staying in an abusive relationship. So somebody says, okay, I didn't see the comments down below. John also says, husband towards me and children. Thank you so much. This person, JD, says, scary, but glad you were leaning in and claiming Psalm 91. Yeah, in terms of the travel. Someone says, so true. And John says, I love your response. It's exactly how I think. And Moyne says, tolerating abuse is a no-no. And I believe that, too. I just don't think that's right. I don't think, there's no way Jesus would have said, go home and take it. He tells people to stop sinning. He loves everybody, but he doesn't want them to keep sinning. And to give a person opportunity to keep sinning is not healthy for your children. So yeah, I'm glad you checked in. I do have one thing to share with you. When did it happen? It was in my prayer time. I forget if it was when we were on vacation. I actually had a little quiet time, and I was talking to the Lord and just saying, how can I be close to you? How I forget exactly the question I asked, but I wanted to know. I wanted a closer relationship with Him, and I've always called Him Heavenly Father, or God. And he speaks to me, but it's in my mind, if that makes sense. I'm not hearing voices. It's just an understanding in my mind, and it's not all the time. It's once in a while. You guys just hear the highlights, so you think it's all the time. It's not. And but he did speak to me, and he said, I want you to call me Papa. And that was like, that really touched me. And it was such a relief. And I was laying down when I was praying, and I was just laying there, just envisioning, leaning against his chest and just saying, Papa, Papa, Papa. It was such a relief. It truly was close. It felt very intimate, in that, like it was just a really close relationship and I could trust him. And I was so relieved to have that level of closeness with him. Because like before, it was more formal. My relationship with him always felt more formal. And and using daddy, I know some people who call him daddy, and I couldn't do that. It related to my earthly father, and it was, leave it to God to know I needed something different, and leave it to him to know the right thing to say, of course, and it was Papa. And so ever since then, it's just been really good. It's been really good to be able to think about him being Papa. And if you need a closer level of relationship with the Lord, I would, ask. I don't even know what I said. I don't even know what I said. I think that was it. How can I be close to you? And he said, call me Papa. I want you to call me Papa. So if you want that close relationship with him, see what he says. See, you just never know. He knows the right thing to say, and just wait on him. And if he doesn't show you immediately, know that he will, because he wants a closer relationship with you too. He will show you. He will show you. John says, thank you for sharing this with us. Oh, and John prays that too. May God help us overcome this. Yeah, yeah, I knew you meant that. I always say that. So, well, I'm glad you could be here. I'm going to scoot. My mom had run out. She's back now, so I'll go see if I can help with anything. And we should, God willing, be home again tomorrow night and have a somewhat normal week. Although Chris is traveling this week, so I'll be on my own, which is sometimes that's okay. Have a quiet week to yourself. And John says, and I know this isn't, you're using another title there. I don't think you're John, but I wish you all the best. Hopefully next time. Thank you. Yeah, we will see you. And I wish I could get on here more often. I just, I can't give what I don't have. And so I've been really needing to find, but life has been super, super busy for the last couple months. And I skip in here when I can to see you. And I feel bad about that. But yet on the other hand, I feel good because I'm able to do things I haven't been able to do in a long time. And it keeps me busy seeing family and doing things because it's summer and Chris and I are actually having some time together to go camping and see my mom. And then I don't have to do Quilt Guild, but it is nice to have something for pleasure for me that I like to do. Oh, and JD says, I missed where you were when you said at the beginning. We were camping and then we were home and then we drove I live near Syracuse, New York. And then we drove close to my mother's, which is 3.5 hours away, picked up my mom, drove down to Virginia, stayed overnight because we couldn't get the whole way in one day, and then continued in Virginia down to Virginia Beach. We were at Virginia Beach for a week with our kids and grandkids, and then drove to Washington, D.C. for a family reunion for Chris's side of the family, which we were hosting the reunion. And then drove to our home back to Syracuse. And we've been there for Sunday to today, Sunday to Friday. And then now we've brought my mother back home and we'll be here through tomorrow. And then we'll go home tomorrow night. So that's what we've been doing. We've been ping-ponging all around. So, so that's it. So you folks have a good week. And next week should be quieter. And I should be able to check in with you next week, okay? God bless you, and I am curious to hear from my question. I posed a question at the beginning. How do you find time to be with the Lord when life's really busy? How do you do that? I could use some advice. What do you do when life is busy to stay close to the Lord? All right, we'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for stopping by. Nice to see you. Bye-bye. Now, how do I close down? Sorry, it's goofy. Here we go.